Nation.
Stock market manipulation, environmental disaster, mass unemployment, immigration, open borders, bailouts and derivatives, mass media distraction, war. How are these things connected? To find out, join us at the Grassroots Connection, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. on WOIC, 1230 a.m.
Everybody knows that the boat is leaking. Everybody knows.
And welcome back to the Grassroots Connection, where we provide the information you need to make an informed decision. Our phone lines are lit up. The chat room is busy. And I wanted to just check and see if we still have Karen here. Are you here, Karen?
My name is Robin.
Oh, okay. Hold on, Robin. I have Karen on the line with
Okay.
you at the same time, okay?
Great, thank you.
We're currently in a conference call, so we're going to have to observe each other's space.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, here we go. I've never had this happen where the phone worked properly, so I'm obviously out of my element. Karen, there were some specific questions that came to you out of the chat room, and one came from Gulf Lady, who asked, Karen, how safe is the seafood? Now, that's the first question, but you were in the middle of making a point. So if you would, please go ahead and make your point. And I know you've got a lot of demands on your attention with the chat room, with me, and all this, but finish your point, and then if you would, please answer the question.
I'm trying to remember where I was at that point. I think I was talking about how there are so many more people along the Gulf Coast in worse shape than I am. Correct me if my memory has lapsed on that.
No, you're exactly right where you were.
Okay. We've been forming groups and coalitions, and right now we're in the middle of forming an umbrella nonprofit, whereas we can collect donations and money and goods and services and distribute them to other worthy nonprofits to help our people all along the Gulf Coast. And we have members, all the way from Florida to Texas to help these people. We're trying to get the government to understand that we are sick, and we are sick for a reason. We're not sick because of food poisoning. We're not sick because of malnutrition. We're not breaking out in hives because our nerves are bad. The level of MRSA virus has escalated almost to epidemic proportions in this area.
Wow.
And it's not because of anything that we did. It's because that the pH level of the ocean of the Gulf of Mexico has been changed, and there is something wrong, and it needs to be fixed.
Yes, ma'am, and I'm with you 100%. And I know most of my listeners down here in the Carolinas, we want to support you any way we can. So we're definitely, we're listening to every word that comes out of your mouth and taking notes. If you would, the question of whether or not the seafood is safe, from your perspective, what do you think of that? Is it safe?
From my perspective, in my most humble opinion, I've been working for a seafood buyer. It's a seafood dock, and what we do is we unload shrimp and finfish directly from the boats that harvest them.
Yes, ma'am.
In the Gulf of Mexico. We repackage it, as in vats with ice, and we send it off to restaurants, or we sell it to walk-up customers, or we send it to processing plants. And I refuse to eat seafood at this point because I don't believe that we've had sufficient time that's passed, or we've had sufficient technology developed as far as the testing goes of the product. I believe that we may be harvesting a good sized crop of shrimp and fish this year, but I'm afraid that it may be the last generation that we're harvesting.
I think you may be exactly right there, as the larvae and other, the baby fish. I don't know the vernacular, but they're dying.
We don't know. We don't know if the adult fish are being rendered sterile. We don't. We don't know that yet, and I refuse to eat it. I refuse, to let anyone that I know eat it without raising 10 kinds of hell with them.
I don't blame you.
I have people who tell me, "Oh, I ate some boiled shrimp last night and I'm just fine." Well, this is not something. You don't get cancer from smoking one cigarette.
That's right. Talk to me in 20 years and see if you're still so happy about it.
Right. It's not something that's going to happen to you overnight, but it is something I believe in my heart that's going to damage the health of every individual who consumes seafood at this point. 21 years later, and I know people get tired of hearing it, but 21 years later, Valdez, Alaska, Prince William Sound, the herrings still have not returned.
Yes, ma'am.
And Corexit has been used in the Gulf, on the Gulf, and on the coast in proportions that have never been used before.
Yes, ma'am. The information coming out is that it's over 2 million gallons of this crud that they've sprayed everywhere. And we all know it's a neurotoxin, and I'm starting to wonder if they aren't trying some eugenics program down there. But we all know that the numbers that they're coming out with, as far as the amount of oil that was spewed out of the volcano, right,
was lowballed.
They lied.
So how do we not know that they're lowballing the amount of Corexit that they've used on us, under the water, and onto the water?
It would be a safe assumption that, judging from their past history, that they're continuing to lie. That is just a safe assumption based on their performance in the past. But, Karen, we have another listener online. I believe her name is Robin, and she's been patiently waiting to ask her question. So, Robin, if you're still there with us, go ahead and ask your question of Karen.
Actually, Karen, one thing I'd like to discuss is actually when we're talking about, the seafood safety in the Gulf, there are two different issues we have here. We have biomagnification, we have bioaccumulation. Science, points in all directions, points to the same thing when we're talking about, like, seafood safety and that, because I was listening to your conversation. There's absolutely no way that the Gulf seafood is safe. When you look at bioaccumulation and biomagnification, these are two, scientific processes where, things build up over time, and one, biomagnification, it's an increase in concentration of the toxins.
I absolutely agree with you.
Excuse me?
I said I absolutely agree
Absolutely.
with you. It's indisputable.
My question is, how can our government possibly be deeming our seafood safe when we know downright, when people like you and myself study this, how can we possibly be telling anybody that, and I'm not saying you are, because you're clearly saying it's not, what do you recommend for people that think of eating seafood? I mean, would you feed it to, would you feed seafood to your children, I guess is the bottom line, or if you were, a pregnant woman, would you consume this?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
What I'm saying is this: if you have any doubt about the honesty and the integrity of the FDA in protecting our food supply, then what you need to do is go to Food and Water Watch. Okay, it's an organization. It's a worldwide organization, and they have been doing wonderful things for us in the seafood industry. Okay, they've been fighting for the protection of our oceans, and they've been fighting for the reputation of our commercial fishermen. Because what most people would have you believe is that our commercial fishermen are the cause of the decline in the fish population. Okay, that is the biggest falsehood being told today. Okay, the cause of the decline in the landings of fish and shrimp throughout the years is the fact that the FDA opened up our borders to pond-raised imported shrimp from Thailand, Vietnam, China, and the antibiotics that are fed to the shrimp larvae in these ponds are known carcinogens. Okay, and the FDA has allowed that to be sent into our country when Europe will not allow Corexit to be used.
That's
absolutely.
correct.
It's barred everywhere else but here. But as you know,
Europe will not
Corexit is owned by, well, it was created by Monsanto, who is really, trying to control our whole country at this point, as well as other countries.
Exactly.
They're trying to control the genetically modified everything. They're trying to control the salmon. So people understand that, but they also understand that NALCO, who actually typically owns Corexit at this point, was actually bought by Halliburton
it's a Chicago-based
2 weeks
organization.
before the explosion.
Hello? Okay, Robin.
Yes?
I appreciate your content, but we're kind of talking over each other. We're having some difficulties with your line.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's all fine.
What I wanted to say is that Europe refuses and outlawed the use of Corexit, okay? And Europe has also outlawed the importation of these genetically altered or aquacultured species, okay? We have people in China who are importing their garbage into our country and importing their, infiltrating our food supply with their garbage. But the Chinese are calling us the wild-caught American shrimp producers to buy our product because they will not eat their own product.
Well, they're not as stupid as they look.
Exactly. So if you have any trust in the Food and Drug Administration saying that our food is safe to eat, Food and Water Watch is the website that you need to visit because they have the truth about what's going on. We have been fighting against open ocean aquaculture that they're fixing to do this in the Gulf of Mexico. Open ocean aquaculture.
Yes, they are.
In the Gulf.
Karen, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we're headed into another hard break. I mean, time really flies. I'm learning stuff here. You guys are teaching me, and I hope my listeners are learning some things as well. Robin, if that's the last of your questions, what I'm going to do is open the phone lines back up. Is that all right? Is that the end of your questions?
Sure. I would like to say one last thing, though, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead. We've got a few seconds.
I would really like to see more people get involved, okay? There is so much going on here, and there's so many people that either have their head buried in the sand or, maybe they can't handle it. This is probably a lot more than we bargained for. I can understand that people are upset. They didn't really expect, the government to let them down, but, they have. All our agencies have lied to us. It's time for people to take their country back and do what they need to do. People need to find out the truth, whether it's on mainstream media or otherwise, places like Food and Water Watch. There are an awful lot of good sites out there that are spreading the truth. People need to kind of branch out a little bit and find the truth and, let's go with it. And, let's protect ourselves.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we can do.
That's what we're doing.
Open your minds and become active.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Karen. I appreciate
you.
Thank you so much, Robin. I appreciate you, and I hope you continue to listen to our show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for your work.
All right, and hopefully one day we'll actually get you in as a guest, but I'm already in this commercial break. I got to shut up and get out of here. I'll be right back. Karen, please hold for me.
You got it.
Dan, the roofing